And of course, a very good night to you. Welcome down to your favorite Tuesday night program, The Police and You. The name Stan Gouveia, Mike Side, keeping you company. And of course, it gives us great pleasure to come into your home, wherever you are. Remember, we are going to be also coming to you not only live here on VOG 102.5 FM, but streaming online on the Ghana Police Force's Facebook page, as well as our YouTube page, where you can join the conversation and be a part of what is happening. Tonight promises, of course, to be a special night. And special in the sense that, of course, we're going to be talking sports for the first segment of tonight's program, as well as we will be talking with a couple of interns who have been with the Corporate Communications Unit for the past 5 weeks, I believe it was. Yes. So you're going to be able to hear from them in terms of what they've been doing and what they intend to do going forward. So it promises to be an exciting time. And as we say, a welcome in the seat right now. Let me say a very good evening and welcome to Woman Assistant Superintendent Tiffany Williams, who is the sports officer of the Ghana Police Force. Did say we speak in sports. If it is that you're going to have any questions for us on the program, let's make sure it's focused on sports in the Ghana Police Force and nothing else, because this is her forte. So good night to you, Woman Assistant Superintendent Tiffany Williams, and welcome to Police and You.
Good night, Stan, and thank you for having me here tonight.
All right, so I'll tell you what. For those of you who are actually in tune, if you've got a question that is sports oriented to the Ghana Police Force, you can send us a message via WhatsApp on 6320147. That's 6320147. Or if you're following the conversation on YouTube or on Facebook, you can get your question there and we'll actually answer it. Must say, first off, Tiffany, that tonight is a little bit special too, in the sense that what happened is that the questions that were prepared for you tonight were prepared by the interns who have been at the Corporate Communications Unit, both Corporal Murphy and it's Corporal Gonzalez, who we're going to hear from in a little bit from now. But I got to ask the first couple of questions. So, starting off, what is your role and responsibility?
Okay. Firstly, I am the sports officer responsible for sports in general in the Ghana Police Force. My responsibility basically is arranging of different sporting activities that is within the Ghana Police Force and joint service also. Managing of human resources and sports equipment as it relates to the Ghana Police Force purchasing these equipment and giving us the equipment for our athletes. We also organize and coordinate overseas meet also, in the sense of St. Vincent or Jamaica might have a day police sports also. We normally go to those sports too.
Go over to collaborate or,
Yes.
or to see if you could beat them.
To also to compete with them,
I like
making
how you
it
say
much
that,
more
compete.
interested, you know.
All right.
Yeah, so that's what my role and responsibility in the sporting department, basically.
All right. And some of the sports, sporting activities that the department is involved in. Would be
Basically,
like
what we do in the Ghana Police Force, Ghana Police Force basically have an athletics club that deals with track and field. It has a swimming club. Currently, we're trying to have our swimming club register on the GASA. We also have a rugby club that deals with rugby within the Ghana Police Force and also joint service. We have a football club where we have the B team and we have some of the athletes who have emerged to playing the elite level. So, and we also organize indoor activities like dominoes and so forth.
All right.
So that's some of the activities that we normally have in our department.
I don't know if you probably intend to keep it, as something in your back pocket, but you just recently would have had one of your policemen go to the Olympics to swim and to represent. And from what we hear, you folks are also seeking to make sure that you have your swimming team up and running.
Yes, like I said, I made mention to that already, that we're currently trying to register with GASA, making it more easier for athletes to compete overseas. Because if our club is not registered, properly registered, as it relates to Gaza, our athletes will not be recognized. They will have to join other clubs in order to be qualified or be selected to represent Guyana.
In terms of men and women being involved in sports in the Ghana Police Force, what are some of the disciplines, sporting disciplines, you would say that you find? I know you mentioned football, swimming, athletics. Those are some of the main things. But do you find that there are other sporting disciplines that some of your policemen and women have and they perhaps want to develop and your department is working on?
Oh, we also have table tennis, whereby we also have national players like Mr. Nigel Bryan. He would have already represented Guyana in table tennis. We also have volleyball, but we normally don't play it on that level like we would do with athletics and football. That is something that's a work in progress. So we're working to get at least recognized volleyball team also to take the Guyana Police Force on the next level.
The average person thinks or sees that the biggest competition or the biggest competitive sporting activity that the Ghana Police Force takes part in is the joint services sports. What would you say about that? Is that so?
That's facts. Yes, that's one of the biggest sporting activity within the Ghana Police Force, whereby we have the different services coming on board to compete for the top spot, and that's a much anticipated event every year. But apart from the joint service, we also have our very own inter-region, I would say now, athletics also, and swimming. But due to the pandemic, since in 2020, we was not able to do that. So yes, joint service is the biggest thing. The athletes will look forward for that event.
To be able to rub their nose.
Compete. They have a high level of competition when it comes to joint services, because everybody wants to have that pride of having the trophy at their service.
So the last one before the pandemic hit, who carted it off?
I would say the GDF currently have that trophy as the winner of the joint service currently. That's the fact. They have the trophy currently, but we were expecting to regain that trophy in 2020, but however that opportunity wasn't given to us because of the pandemic. So we're hoping like early next year that we can be in that level of competitiveness.
All right. You know, one of the things that persons often wonder or ask about, not just in the Ghana Police Force, but specifically because we're dealing with this, so many of our young people especially get involved in sports, and it's an expensive, whatever the discipline is somewhat expensive. But some would, in some cases, want to be able to maybe go further with it. You got any like scholarship programs available for athletes?
We do have scholarship programs available for athletes, but those scholarships aren't offered by the Guyana Police Force. That's a work in progress also. But we have scholarship offers to elite athletes overseas. We have the Monroe College in the US, and we also have a college in Jamaica that offers about 5 athletes currently overseas. They're training and elevating themselves academically. Those athletes are Joanna Archer, we have Alia Moore, we have Arenzi Chance, and we have Damon Williams. Those are athletes that are currently studying and training abroad.
So you're actually pushing some of your
Yes.
policemen and women to be
Yes,
able to
yeah.
further themselves.
Yes. True.
Awesome, awesome. And makes me know about your day-to-day responsibilities down at your department.
My day-to-day responsibility basically is the same as managing the human resources, coordination of organizing and coordinating of indoors and outdoor activities, basically. And that's about it.
All right, so what about opportunities for progression within the department? Evidently, sports itself is a competitive. It's competitive in nature. Ghana Police Force is rank in nature, and everyone would seek for elevation. In that department, do you believe that there's a lot of scope for that?
Yes, there is a lot of scope for upward mobility within the sports department. Like I mentioned, some of the athletes already benefited from that. Those athletes that I would have mentioned, Joanna Archer and Arenzi Chance, and those athletes, they were given the opportunity by the commissioner, then Miss Leslie James, to further their studies and also train. So yes, there is a possibility.
21 hours 18 police and you, and of course we are speaking with woman assistant superintendent Tiffany Williams, who is the sports officer of the Ghana Police Force. And we now turn our attention to making it a little bit more personalized. What do you enjoy, sports officer, the most about your job?
Well, as a young lady or a young teenager growing up, I had always wanted to join the Guyana Police Force, in order to serve and protect. But as you see, I was posted in this department, sports department, in 2014, and I quickly developed a love for sports because growing up, also going to school, I was sports oriented, right? So if I could put a smile on athletes' faces by organizing games and activities, that's my joy in doing it. I have pleasure in doing that, putting a smile on my athletes' face. Not only the athletes, but also policemen and women in uniform, because you find often the police work is very stressful. And if I could organize games in order to get them out of just focusing on policing, come out and intermingle with the colleagues, looking at that gives me joy. That's what I love about my job.
Awesome, awesome. And they always say that once you love your job, then it is no longer a job, right? It's a career, and
Yes.
it evidently seems to be a career for you and to you. So kudos on that. Evidently, because you're there, I'm sure you would have developed a vision. Given that I know we're in a pandemic, and so some things have been on hold or so on. But if you just say, or if you want to share, over the next 5 years, what kind of vision would you have for the sports department of the Guyana Police Force?
Well, if I'm to share about my vision for the next 5 years for the police force, if I'm still there at sports, that is, I would like to see the Guyana Police Force have a sports core. I mean, we do have a sports department but having a sports department means that our athletes are decentralized into different regions. If we can have a sports core to have our athletes at one central point, You find some of our athletes, when messages are sent out for them to come train, you see, they will find excuses like their commanders might not want them to come out and whatever. Now, if we have a sports core that deals specifically with sports, work, just at the sports core, doing basically sports training and having the opportunity to study, that would be great. That's my thing for the next 5 years. Also, I would like to see.
So, before you go on, so I think you're hoping that could be one of the significant changes
in the
happen.
sports, yes, in the sports department. Also, what I hope to see also is more athletes given scholarship by the Guyana Police Force. We find athletes perform. We have some elite athletes, not only in athletics. We also have in football. We have in cricket, rugby, just to name a few. If these athletes can be given scholarship, it will in turn encourage more athletes to come on board for the sports.
All right.
Right? So that is what I want to see. And I also want to see, I wish if we can have an upgrade in our ground, having a synthetic track, that will be also, that's my thing for the next 5 years. I want to see.
You want to compete with the national.
Yes. I want our ground to be a ground that attracts people. I mean, our ground already is a center of attraction in Georgetown. But if we can have that synthetic track there, it will be something great value.
Awesome. Evidently, you've done a lot of coordinating and development of events.
That's right.
If you were to, in retrospect, think back, what are some of the ones that might have stood out for you with, as good memories? You coordinated and you developed it and it came to fruition in a successful way.
Yeah, I would say for the past year, we had the rugby and the female football team dormant, and with much help, hard work, we were able to resuscitate the female football team and the rugby team. We were also able to emerge as one of the team playing for the elite team in Guyana. So I would say those are some of that stood out.
All right. I'll tell you what now. I'm going to give one of my corporals a chance to ask one of the other questions that we've got here for you that she came up with. They thought about it long and hard today, and she is ready. So go ahead. What's your question?
I would like to know, seeing that the Guyana Police Force is a disciplined service, right? How do you deal with discipline issues within the sports department?
Okay, thank you. How we deal with discipline within the sports department is that we have different level. We have the kiddies. We have those from 6 years old. We have the.
But they're not police.
No, they're not police, yeah, but they're part of the youth club, right? We have the rural constables and we have the bona fide police members. What we would do in terms of if a rural constable breached some whatever, we will give them a warning first. Well, we always know that in the Guyana Police Force, we normally warn anybody before disciplinary action. So what we do, we will warn them, put them in the warning book, have them sign it. If you continue to do same, depending upon the gravity of the offense, we will ask the coaches to submit a statement. That will in turn, we will do a work on conduct, and we will recommend either the service be terminated or based on the discretion of the commissioner. As it relates to bona fide police, same thing, we will warn them, we'll give them a warning at least 2 times, and if they continue, go forward with charges.
because it's particularly same even in various sporting disciplines
Yes.
that things like that happen,
Mm-hmm.
right? You are offensive to your discipline, you can be banned. We see many times, especially when we read international scene, hear about people being banned for a period of time,
Suspension, yes.
or
We will suspend them,
suspended,
yeah.
or being fined, and those kinds of things. So it's pretty much kind of the
It's the
same.
same, yes.
All right, interesting. And given that, do you also, depending on the discipline of the, when I say the discipline, whichever is the sporting discipline of an athlete, do you collaborate with the corresponding federation or association that they might also be working with to let them know, well, this athlete has been like this, and this is the situation?
No, we really never coordinate with outside entities as relates to
So it's
disciplinary
usually
activity.
internal.
It's just an internal something. Internal.
All right. The other corporal is going to ask another question. Corporal Murphy, your question?
Good night. Well, we know with each competitive sports, there's only one winner. So if the result is not favorable to your rank, what strategies do you use to keep the rank motivated?
Okay. What strategy we will use to keep the ranks motivated is that we recommend promotion. And based on the recommendation, in most cases, they're granted promotion, either a lance corporal or a corporal. We also have them recommend them for a cash incentive, which they have 2 times per year. And also, like, if they would compete, like, in the weekend, and so we would have them take days off and so forth. So that's a form of reward we will give them. Cash incentives, yeah, promotions, and days off.
Motivated. One of the things that came to cross our desk coordinations unit is something called World Police Sports Games, where apparently lots of police departments in many countries would then meet also and compete in various disciplines. Has the Ghana Police Force ever sent a contingent to this or intend to? I know there's one coming up early next year. You see you being able to send up a contingent to compete against other police officers around the world?
We do send persons to Caribbean countries to participate in police sports. Being Trinidad and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we sent athletes there on numerous occasions. As it relates to World Games, I'm not sure. That has to be a work in progress. But once there is an invite, there would be a team going up. I can guarantee you that.
Once there's an invite.
Once there is an invite, yes, there will be a team. Because we're in a place that we have these athletes that we can send on tours of such nature.
All right. I think right now we've got someone on the phone who wants to ask a call. So, caller, good night to you.
Good night to you, Mr. Gouveia and panel.
Yes, good night.
Yeah. The sports person, the superintendent, eh?
Assistant Superintendent Williams, yes.
Yeah. You know, all that she said is good, but she should have included the karate training for police officers in the camp. And stop using this type of violence on citizens, civilians. She need to do that. They need to get to this karate self-defense thing. Look at that policeman in front of Monishwara. That little boy had a little kitchen knife, and he threw himself on the ground. He should have kicked the man up and taken the knife from the man. He gave it up. Give up his life just up. You know, you need to get proper training in the police for sports only. And they would do a better job. You don't think so?
All right, I'll let her answer you. Thanks for coming through, caller.
What about you, Mr. Gouveia? You don't think so?
If it is that I think so, your question is valid, and come to think about it, but of course, evidently, I believe collaboration with the correspondent agencies. Like, for example, I'd want to believe karate has its own federation, and should persons have an interest, then in the Ghana Police Force, they form because it's sports, it's voluntary and not forced on. It is then when they then form and they become associated with the federation at the national level to be able to have the competitions.
I see, but they train the police out. They must have that training. Even for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they must have that training. And if long-term policemen say got bat on the road. And if you look at India today, they got bat on the street, beating the people when they behaving bad and doing illegal stuff. Not shooting them. And they're going to make this country, police going to build a better relation with the civilian in this country. Far better. And next thing, the policeman then need proper exercising that they can run up a fairly big instead of in office whole day. Sugar diabetic can take them over and else. These things need to look after the benefit of the people in the country, not to insult nobody and shame nobody, but to develop the people's life, health, main subject. A very good night to all of you and good take care. May God bless you.
Thanks a lot for coming through.
Yes, sir.
What I can say, and I'm sure you might echo those sentiments, Assistant Superintendent, is that self-defense is part of initial training when one joins the Ghana Police Force.
Yes, I know that in the training school there is a karate club there also. That's what I forget to mention. Yes, we do teach self-defense. So that's also one of the sports that we take part in.
All right. You care to respond to the latter part that he was asking in terms of maybe something for obesity of officers or ranks who get, as he's saying, maybe out of shape at some point in time? What would you recommend?
In the departments, in the regions, the commanders will normally have a fitness walk or fitness run. I recommend that the commanders in the division have more frequent fitness walk, or 10K or a 10K or a 5K, like once a month. That will help them, I think.
I think sometimes our office is not too far from I know what happened. Our office is not too far from the
sports club. Yes,
at the club in the ground, and we understand that COVID would have stopped a lot of these things happening, but with the gradual opening, ever so often I'm seeing policemen and women on the field exercising, run different things, running and so on, and even senior officers we would see from time to time engage in that. So I think we have a commissioner right now who is very sports oriented, is usually in the gym. We have a deputy commissioner before we release you here. Caller, very good evening to you. I think we lost that one. But if it is that you do have the chance to call back here on Police and You, it's all about sports in the Ghana Police Force. And we have our own woman assistant superintendent, Tiffany Williams, who is the sports officer of the Ghana Police Force. And I just want to ask for you to finally be able to say to persons, all policemen and women, I know you talked about your vision of being able to see a synthetic track, your vision of being able to see, more of the competitiveness happening and more involvement in sports. But as the sports officer, not just for headquarters, for all across the country, what is the challenge you'd like to throw to all policemen and women in terms of whether it is that they take up sports as a fitness, personal fitness routine, or whether they take it up as a discipline for competitive purposes?
Well, I would like to encourage more or see more policemen and women in uniform take up that challenge, and come out, support the guys, support them, because of lately the challenges that we're facing currently is that we don't have female athletes due to this pandemic here that is at hand. We find some of the athletes or some of the females in particular have decided to, start a family, thus putting a pressure on the female part of sports right now. So as it relates to athletes, female athletes in the Guyana Police Force, we have absolutely none. So I'm encouraging persons out there in the divisions to come on board and be a part of our team. And let us make sports work for the Guyana Police Force.
Awesome. And I believe as a female head of that department, something you're going to be working and pushing and making sure happens.
Yes, I will.
Definitely. I want to say thanks for spending some time with us on Police and You tonight.
Thank you for having me here, Stan.